Welcome to this look at another map I missed on Farming Simulator 22 with me, MrSealyp. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here on No Man's Land by Alien Jim in the Maps I Missed series with MrSealyp. The reason I'm doing this one, this wasn't a map I missed, and this is no disrespect to Jim or to his detriment or anything like that. When this came out on FS22, I had a look at it for doing a map tour. And in all honesty, there wasn't really anything different to the previous version on FS19, other than the fact it had the FS22 productions, options, things like that on it. And I chose not to do a map tour on it. I wish I hadn't have done. That being said, it's had a couple of updates since then. And I was streaming yesterday, which I haven't done for a long time. And the chat on the stream was talking about the Maps I Missed series that I've been doing at the moment. And I was saying about, I think I've only got one more map I needed to do. And then someone said, but you didn't do No Man's Land. And I thought, you know what? I didn't. I didn't do it. So I've come back on. And I thought, you know what? We'll have a look. Because, you know, I should. It's the least I could do. And show you the cool stuff on here. You might not have ever played FS19, but FS22 might be your first foray, and that really didn't kind of cross my mind when it first came out. But anyway, it is 79.86 megabytes download. As I said, it's by Alien Jim. There are no contracts. There are no custom crop types added in. Excuse me. Now, there's not a lot. I say there's not a lot to the map. It's such a difficult thing because there have been a lot of maps since this. I think I put on the thumbnail or maybe the title groundbreaking. Jim pushed the boundaries of modding, of map making. He tried new things. He gave stuff a go. As far as console went as well, there might have been stuff like this out on PC for a long time, but as far as console went, this concept of having an open play map with nothing really on it was groundbreaking. It was game changing. It was a whole different way for your brain to think. You know, you were used to maps with everything on there, and you jumped on and played. And then obviously with landscaping, and when that came about, and then obviously the productions as we move forward through the games, you can build an entire map. You become a map maker in essence with a base game map or whatever it might be. You can then create what you want. But this really pushed that to a, you know, you've got a complete blank canvas, do what you like. And that was, it was Alien. It was such a different thing, which was cool. And what I loved about this map, and I have to say this version of it has a slightly grittier, I don't know, it's crisper, it's tighter, it's, you know, I feel bad for not having done the map tour originally. I should have done the map tour originally. I can only apologise for not doing it. There are some features and stuff I'm going to show you later on, which I have already recorded. I know I've done it a weird way round. But the map looks like this. So if you haven't ever seen this before, all the sections are all the same size. They all cost the same amount. If we click on there, each one, 85,000. So when you're saving up, you don't have to worry. You know what you're saving up for. They all cost exactly the same. On New Farmer, we do start, as you've seen, with this plot up here. There's a little farm with some equipment and machinery, which we'll get to later on. We'll talk about slot count and stuff up there. So you can gradually, you know, work your way across, buying up whatever you want. There are no contracts available because there are no fields. Other than the main farm that's got a little field on it, and I think the crops are withered, you've got to kind of start again. So it's that thing of you do you. Make your own fields, off you go, you know. Which is you know, like I say, it was groundbreaking at the time. And there's forestry, but it's not a map that's covered in forestry. You can buy plots of land, you can plough out your fields without having to cut down a single tree if you don't want to. If you want to do forestry, it's here, but we have got some other options with regard to forestry as well, which is pretty cool. As far as what's been added in by Jim, if we go into we want this menu, and we scroll down to mods and DLCs, we've got two tankers. We've got the MKU32 and the Biogas 8000. So different capacities. The MKU32, 32,000 litres, it will do your usual things, but it does methane as well. And your Biogas 8000 only does water and methane, doesn't do all the other bits and bobs. So those have been added in under sort of vehicles and machinery. If we go into our build mode, we've got some sheds added in, just there. We've got a silo added in, 200,000 litre, just there. We've got a silo extension at 100,000 litre. We've then got under container, we've got a water tank. Tools, we've got a workshop. Farmhouses, we have a farmhouse out on the end. And then we come to our productions. He says, what have I got? There we go, productions. We've got some factories added in. That'll say at the end, I'm going to come back around to those. I'm going to put some out and I'll show you those. But we do, excuse me, well, that came out of nowhere. We've got sawmill, lime production, gold production, and methane production. Sell points, we've got these added in. So selling point bales, grains, root crops, and productions. These were updated to add in new bits and bobs. Actually, that's interesting. And the root crop one's not showing the new root crops. Oh no, hang on. Hang on, I've just realised what I've done. I came out of it because I made a mistake, came back in and I haven't enabled them. Bear with me. That's better. So there you go. Root crops, they are all in there. So if you've got premium on there as well. So that's under selling points, selling stations. We go to our greenhouses. We've got added in a mushroom greenhouse and a flower nursery greenhouse. Nothing under orchards, nothing under generators. There were no animal pens added in addition to. Decoration, I think we had under others, because we've got all the platinum and premium here. There you go, out on the end. Old wooden garden shed, outhouse, and farm barn. And then if we go to our landscaping, this is where things get a bit more spicy. Under painting, we've got the ploughed state. Now, a few different maps have had this, but I think Jim, again, pioneered this. If you use this and put it down, so you can make a field just using that with a ploughed state, but it comes with a caveat, a warning. If you create a ploughed field using that in the square formation or the round formation to build a field, if you've got field stones turned on, you won't get any field stones on that field if you use that. If you plough your own field, if you create your own field and you've got field stones turned on, you will, but if you create it using that, you won't get field stones, so just be aware of that. I did that on my Western Wilds test map, and it's just something to be aware of. As far as other paint textures, we've got a whole load of concretes and cobbles and tiles and grass, and there's loads been added in, as you can see. Trees, there was nothing, but under plants, we've got some additional ones as well. And some of these were part of one of the updates. We've got Meadow Brush US, we've got Meadow Brush Alpine, then we've got stones added in, we've got branches on the ground, so if you want to add in anything like that, again, if you decide to build a quarry and you want to have some stones around the outside, or, I don't know, whatever it might be, you might want to do a whole load of logging, and then you might want to put some, you know, some branches down to make it look like that's all the stuff that's been left behind. Again, whatever you want to do, that's entirely up to you. So that's been added in by Jim. So back over to here, we've got our sell points. So we've got our farm shop, sell point just here, with the wood bit just there, so for selling wood. So that's the sell point here. Over here, this is the farm shop buy point. So you can come to here and you can purchase things if you want to, which adds, you know, for whatever gameplay you want to do. Again, if you're not sure about that, if you've never seen a single one of my map tours, you might not have done. If you come to any of the items in here under prices and go across, the first column is where you're selling. So that's the price you'll be paid for your items. The next one down is the other farm shop. And I know they're the other way around, buying and selling. They are selling to you, but that's what you're buying them for. So you've got to be careful, unless you're really, really desperate, because as you can see there, wheat, if you're buying wheat, it costs way more to buy wheat than you're selling it for. So you would only buy it if you really desperately need it for something in particular. If money's no object and you don't care and you want to buy stuff, absolutely. On some maps, it's the other way around. You can buy things far cheaper than you can sell them, and then people will just spend ages buying and then selling high, and you know. So it's that way around. And you scroll down, I think almost anything you can purchase, but it is more expensive. Just something to be aware of. If we come around the front here, the vehicle store, doors do open. Very cool. Vehicle shop, lovely assistant waiting here to help you. And then the workshop trigger is just over here. Big building. Can we do the back doors as well? Don't we? Can we? No. So plenty of space for getting large vehicles in. If we come around the sides here, we have got the animal dealer, And it is just an animal dealer. Haven't got an animal dealer sell point or anything like that. But again, there's a bale sell point, as we've already seen under sell stations, which you can either put in here if you want to, or put somewhere else on the map. It's entirely up to you. And with all the stuff that's available in the mod hub, that's what this map originally intended. Was to give you that scope to just build it. If you build it, they will come. I can't remember if this gate opens or not. Don't think so. But that's the main highway. And here's our pickup. Now, this has got some hours on it. It's got some damage on it. All of the equipment and machinery we start with on New Farmer has. Now, I'm not going to drive around the entire map. I'm going to drive out to the farm. But the map, sweeping countryside, there's a few craggy, rocky outcrops like over to the left there. This is unbelievable, because I spent so long at this being my test map. And like I say, I switched over to Western Wilds. Oh man, I spent so long on this. Every mod review I did on FS19, pretty much, I think, on here. Testing things out and building things and cutting down trees and whatever it was I had to do. So, driving all the way out. I'm trying to look actually, because on the previous version of this, it had, let's go back to the map. It had roadways and stuff. It doesn't look like it. It had roadways and stuff that were kind of already laid out, but had grass textures over them. So you could, if you wanted to, kind of just go over them with a painting texture. Let's say if you wanted to, but it doesn't look like I have on this version. Which is, I think it's better actually, because it gives you scope then to just pick and choose where you want to do stuff. Not that you had to put them in where they were, but... So, up towards the main farm. Large lake area just over to the side. Shed for storage. Swing around. There you go, there's your water tower just there. Silo just there. Actually, what I'm going to do, because I didn't check for multi-fruit, I think it's probably multi-fruit. Workshop, again, the level of detail. Because Jim was the one as also, was it Mercury Farms the first time they had it? Had that mod. We've got it now, I think, on 22. It was one of the early ones that we got for building the farm silo. And it comes flat packed. And when you click on it, it builds it in front of you. Jim did that. That was, I mean, that blew my mind when that came out. Just such an spectacle island, no man's land. Washoe, Nevada, Mercury Farm, Sussex Farm. We got Western Wilds, Rock Crawl, and then the various different mods. There was the TARDIS mod. You've got the various different placeables packs for, sheds and buildings and vehicles, and just, I don't know. Yeah, a real innovator. I know I've said that already, but anyway, I love the detail. The level of detail in this little workshop. Workshop trigger's just there for your vehicle workshop, and around the outside, so you can put your vehicles next to it until you work on it. Hit them. Here's your little field. Withered. Needs some work. Then the equipment and machinery we start with on New Farmer is in here. So we've got a little Steyr tractor, got our seeder, harvester and header, trailer, plough, cultivator. All need work, all a bit great. It's that kind of thing, you've arrived, you've bought this farm, there's a bit of equipment, it needs some maintenance, everything needs a bit of work. What I love is this as well. Ready? I love the fact the light comes on. Very cool with the flies. We go into the house. Turn on our lights. Little living space. There are collectibles. There are 20 collectibles on the map. They are cartridges, because it does say there, game cartridge. I haven't got any game cartridges yet, but you can put them in there. I'm not sure if the bath might need a bit of a clean, but anyway. Sleep and wardrobe, just here. And then we've got a little bit of a loft space. Not really necessarily, there might be a cartridge up there, actually. I haven't looked. There might be, you never know. Actually, better turn the lights off. Out from there. What I will do, we'll talk about, that's what I was going to do, just grab a trailer, and I'm sure it's a multi-fruit silo, but it doesn't hurt to check, does it? So, New Farmer, slot count is 760, which gives you plenty of scope for doing whatever you want to do. Farm management start from scratch, that comes down to 631, and you don't start with any of the vehicles and machinery, and you don't start with any of the buildings here. So none of this stuff is here. Farmhouse, outside toilet, sheds, fencing, none of it. Nada niche. So, look at the state inside of that. Wheat barn. Nope, standard. Not a multi-fruit silo. Okay. It doesn't hurt to check. So I was going to sweeping statement say it's a multi-fruit silo, but I hadn't checked it, so I thought I better had. And that's the farm. I mean, that's in essence it. So I'm going to shut the drone up very quickly. I'm not going to go around the entire map, but what I like about it is it's enough. Everything's done, and it has a nice realistic feel to it. You've got little clumps of trees. You've got larger forested areas. You've got these sort of rocky outcrops. There's so much scope to do whatever you want. And again, I know there are other maps that do this. There are. But they've all come since this. And I'm not saying this was the first, because again, PC, there may well have been maps and stuff like this way before. But as far as console gaming went, this was it. So, back out from there. What I'm going to do, grab the pickup, I'm going to head back down towards the store. I will see you there in a moment, and I will have taken the liberty of setting up probably the greenhouses, the factories, and there was something else I wanted to show you. Oh, that was what I didn't show you. Was the posts, the signposts. Did I talk about them? I'll show you the signposts. If you cut the signposts down, they have an effect on the map. So, yes, I'll see you down there in a moment. So I've added in some of the extra bits and bobs we were talking about earlier on. I've put in the flower greenhouse, I've put in the mushroom greenhouse, I've got the sawmill, lime production, gold production, and methane production I've thrown in. There was something else I wanted to show you as well, which again was on the FS19 version, I think, and I thought I'd better check it, just in case, because it was another one of those features that, again, I'm not, like I've said right from the start of the video, I'm not saying that Alien Jim was the first person to do any of these things. PC mods and stuff, there's been a lot of stuff out, but as far as for console gamers go, as again I probably have already said, I'm recording this first. I know this is weird, this is just a way around I'm doing it. He really pushed the boundaries of what you could do. So anyway, I'll show you in, because these look absolutely fantastic. I love the detail, and I think we had the flower one as a separate mod on, definitely on FS19. It's just fantastic, isn't it? I also like, if I haven't mentioned it already, whenever Jim puts in his icons, a little blue, they're always a lot smaller. So they're not these massive glaring, they're just smaller a little bit, they're there, but not intrusive. Obviously, you don't have to have them on. People in the hanging baskets and stuff, brilliant. I'm pretty sure, again, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, I don't think so. I think the windows in the evenings, they close, so it sort of, allows ventilation, but then when it gets colder in the evenings, it's, I'm pretty sure they close. Then the mushroom one, I mean, and this was the thing as well, with regard to these sorts of things, on FS19, when Jim was pushing, he was pushing productions out on console before productions was a thing on FS22. And on Sussex Farm, I remember he changed it up. We had mushroom greenhouses, lemons. What were the other ones we had? Oh, I can't remember now. But he had all sort. He really did. And I think gold production was another one of those things that was very early on. And the gold pallets that spawned weighed a ton. And it was that really cool thing, because we hadn't really had anything like that before. He really was a pioneer on all these sorts of things. The sawmill, I think, is a fairly standard one as far as I can tell. I've got Platinum and Premium expansion on, and I think it's just standard. So let's go and have a quick look, shall we? Yeah, wood planks. Wood in, planks and wood chip out. And if we whiz around the back. I've always liked the fact his productions are straightforward, no nonsense, do the job, These are very similar to the Western Wilds ones, if you've played Western Wilds, which I did for a while. So lime production, stones and water in, lime out. Nice and straightforward. The gold, again, not overcomplicated, doesn't require pay dirt, and you haven't got to have mines, and it depends how realistically you want to go about this. You can set yourself up a quarry. So for the gold production, stones, water and methane. To run it, produces gold. Again, Western Wilds had that on as well. And then if we whiz across here to the methane production. Now this is just methane production. Again, separate to, on Western Wilds, the biogas plant produced methane, which was brilliant. On Western Wilds, I made a killing with methane, but putting in the various different items required. That's how I manage production. Oh, tuck around there. There you go. Just there. So we can put in silage, slurry, digestate, manure, sugar beet cut, sugar beet, potatoes. All of those produce methane out. Now methane, depending on what cell points you've got, there are lots of modded cell points, it's normally worth a bit. But if you add the methane over then to the gold production, obviously then with your stones and water, which you might be getting anyway to do lime, might as well do some gold while you're at it as well, which is very cool. So that's the factories and bits and bobs. So in a couple of the updates that this map had since it came out, these things have been added. The other thing I wanted to show you again, if you were aware of it, great. If you weren't, I'll show you, was Jim kind of had this, I think he did on Western Wilds as well, where he puts the water plane of the map quite close to the surface. So if we go into build mode and go along to our landscaping, and then we go to our sculpting, our raise and lower option there we go, we start lowering, you see just below the surface you've got your water plane. So the beauty as well on this map, and again, one of those, you kind of push the boundaries a little bit, was that you can create your own rivers, lakes, waterways, then you can add in your bridges. It just gave you that scope, and then, once you've got the width you want, the size you want, the direction you want, you can then smooth out your edges, soften it up. And there's all those other different mods out there that have got lily pads and frogs, and so the ability to then add to that massively. I know, because this was my test map for a long, long time, and FS19 was my test map. And then there was that mod that had the garage that actually went underground, so you could store vehicles, and then you lowered it or raised it back up again so you could store them. And when I showed it on here, when I put it in, it was completely submerged because just the way the map was. If we come off of that one and we go to soften, you then soften up your edges, soften up the bottom. You can then, with your texturing palette, you can then put stones around the edges. You can, it was just a really cool feature to add in. You might have played on this map for ages and not even thought to do that. You might have raised stuff, you might have, but yeah. And then the final thing that I said right at the start I was going to show, and didn't, but now I can, or will, was the posts. I personally always have preferred the map with them on. When I had it as a test map, it was easier to have some of the things off, but then if you needed to do login and you've removed all the trees, you then maybe have to place more in. So what I will do, first of all, I'm going to need to buy a saw of the chain variety. Do that. So this will take away all the rocks. We can drop down a bit. There we go. And then you can wood chip that up to whatever you want with it. And then this one will remove all the trees. So again, you've got to be very careful. I would save the game before doing it. If you do this and then say to yourself, oh, I don't know, you can come back out again. As long as you haven't got auto save on, you can come back on then without saving, and it'll be your previous to doing it. Because you might think, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Then when you do it, it does that, and then you think, oh, I don't know anymore. Have I just made a horrible mistake? But again, that was a very pioneering thing. Mercury Farms had it? Honestly, Sussex, I think, had it in place. But Yeah, very clever idea and a clever way of dealing with stuff. Spectacle definitely had it. For clearing various different bits and bobs here and there, rubbish and things around at the main farm, and But anyway, all that being said, that's No Man's Land by Alien Jim. I miss Jim. I miss his stuff. I was going back and having a look, as I've mentioned earlier, at the maps from FS19, and we've got a smattering. And obviously, Western Wilds is new on 22, but that innovative brain of his, the stuff he would make, and the level of detail and the attention to detail, and pushing the boundaries of what his mods could do, and how they would influence your gameplay, and how it would make your life easier or more fun, and I don't know, very very cool, very innovative gentleman. But anyway, I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape, or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.